Here are some of my favorite fun facts about one of my all-time favorite 3D Zeldas, Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask is a very unique Zelda title due to its dark nature and its weirdness, for lack of a better term, which is partly due to its 1-year time limit the dev team was given to create a whole Zelda game using Ocarina of Time's engine. But through that process, there were many things that didn't make it into the game. One was a training montage with Link and the Great Fairy, where apparently Link would up his abilities or learn new attacks. The footage can still be found in the game's files even though it was unused in the finished game. There were other ideas that were only heard of through an interview with Shigeru Miyamoto. One was actually being able to purchase more time with rupees, and another was Jabu Jabu fishing, where catching Jabu Jabu would actually stop the fall of the moon. In reference to this idea, they actually added a fishing pond in the 3D remake where you can catch Jabu Jabu, or actually Chabu Chabu, Jabu Jabu's Termanian counterpart, though it doesn't stop the moon from falling. Also, there are often little differences in regional releases, like dialogue, music, and small mechanical differences, but Majora's Mask has a whole different underground cave section in the Deku Palace, with vine walls, Skulltula, and other enemies. In other versions of the game, you just stealthily avoid the guards above ground until you get to the bean guy. Why was this cut out? I don't know. It almost seems like it would be a waste of precious time, especially on a game that had a 1-year time limit on development.
Hey, not only were there changes between the regional versions of Majora's Mask, there were also major changes between the N64 version and the version that they made for the 3DS. Oh, this is a little bit awkward. I didn't introduce myself before starting my script. Let's go back, let's rewind. My name is the Bread Pirate. I usually specialize with Zelda fun facts on my own personal channel, but I do happen to know a thing or two about Majora's Mask that could help this conversation. Specifically, I know a thing or two about the changes that were made in the 3DS remake. And, oh my gosh, there were a lot of changes. According to an Iwata Asks interview, when the developers were remaking Majora's Mask, they created a list called What in the World, where they vented about all the things they wanted to change about the original game. The list ended up traveling around the entire office, and tons of people were adding notes to it. Funnily enough, the original director of Majora's Mask, Aonuma, frequently wrote apologies on this list of things that he felt bad about adding into the original game and that he wanted to be fixed in the remake. So this list became the basis for all of the changes that were made in the 3DS remake. However, not all Zelda fans were happy about all the changes that were made. For instance, they altered the Zora mask so that speed boosting while underwater requires magic, making you go through your magic way quicker and making it less viable to swim underwater all the time. The Twin Mold fight was completely changed from the original game and was made to be slower and clunkier. Deku Link's water hopping was nerfed so that you didn't go as far even if you got a running head start. And the location of the stone mask was changed so that instead of obtaining it in Ikana Valley, you obtained it in the Pirate Fortress. The reason that this last one is a big deal is because the stone mask is a stealth item that makes you invisible to guards. But in order to get it in the 3DS version, you need to sneak past the most heavily guarded area in the game without having it. This stands in stark contrast to the way that it worked in the original, where you could grab the stone mask from Ikana and then just use it to sneak past every single guard in the Pirate Fortress. Personally, I'm fine with this change, but maybe I'm also just a little bit biased and I want the pirates to win. Just saying. However, it's not like all of the changes that Nintendo made were hot garbage. For instance, they added fishing mechanics. They created a new side quest with tons of funny dialogue where you have to deliver mystery milk to the leader of the Gorman troop. They also put up a bunch of cool details in Clock Town, such as posters that foreshadow the various organizations around Termina, like the Zora Band, the Goron Hot Springs, and Romani Ranch. And they even put up graffiti from the Bomber Gang around the walls of Clock Town and in the sewers. So a lot of these changes were actually pretty good. However, one of the easiest to miss changes in the 3DS version has to do with the bomb shop. If you look into the back of the room, you'll notice that there is a massive mechanical box, which is based on the design of the GameCube. However, there actually is an even less well-known Easter egg in here. If you look to the right of the GameCube, you'll see a blue extendo arm. This is a reference to the Nintendo Ultra Hand, a toy that Nintendo created back in 1966, which was 6 years before they even started making video games. Anyways, those are just a few of the changes that they made between the original version and the 3DS version of the game. I really don't want to hog the spotlight, so I think I'm going to hand it back to Z. After all, I think there are a lot more Easter eggs in Majora's Mask than just with the bomb shop.
Nintendo loves putting Easter eggs from its other titles in their games, and just like the iconic Mario portraits in Hyrule Castle from Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask shares some very blatant and some very obscure Easter eggs. Like Majora's Mask on Link's wall in A Link Between Worlds, a Mario Mask in the Happy Mask Salesman's Collection, various retro Nintendo products that my pal Brett just mentioned in the bomb shop. But my personal favorite is the reference to the Star Fox crew. If you look at the mask screen, there are 4 masks that share the likeness of Fox's crew: Star Fox, Peppy, Slippy, and Falco. And the Mask of Sense also looks like Pigma, one of Fox's father's old teammates who turned to the dark side. One might say that this is just an unintentional coincidence, but if you look a little deeper, in the original Star Fox, there was a designer, Takaya Imamura, sorry if I butchered that name, who designed this. A moon that looks oddly familiar. It's no surprise that this is the same designer for Star Fox, who became the leading art director for Majora's Mask and designed the fierce apocalyptic moon that constantly is threatening the land of Termina. Which leads me to believe that not only is this moon an obscure blast from the past reference, these 5 masks that resemble Star Fox and his team, plus 1 baddie from the same game, in this order next to each other, was very intentional. Music has played a huge part of the Legend of Zelda series from its inception, and as the series grew, so did the part that music played in the series. In Majora's Mask, there are many musical references to past games. On some of the walls in Termina Field, you can find notes that Link can follow along with on his ocarina to get rupees. Often, they are just randomly ordered, but sometimes they will be arranged as some of the melodies that Link learned in Ocarina of Time. But that's not all. You can go hang out with the famous Zora band, the Indiegogo's, and jam with them disguised as their dead friend, Mikau. And that's pretty messed up when you think about it. Majora's Mask has a lot of moments like these. I love it. Anyway, in their rooms you can hear them practicing past Zelda songs. The drummer is jamming the cave theme from A Link to the Past. The bassist is playing the original dungeon theme that would play in the labyrinths in the original Legend of Zelda. And the pianist is playing the Game Over theme, very beautifully, I might add. Not only can you hear these retro Zelda tunes, but one of the Indiegogo's hits is called The Ballad of the Windfish, which is a reference to the song Link plays to wake the Windfish in Link's Awakening. Though the song is completely different, the title is definitely a reference. Later on in the series, Twilight Princess would do something similar, connecting this very Link who becomes the hero Shade, the hero of Twilight's ancestor, to songs learned in Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on Howling Stones. Oh, and check this out. I just had to mention this, because I've loved this game since I was a kid, and I just found out that Igos du Icana's right-hand soldiers march with you when you're wearing the Bremen mask. And, well, it's kinda musical, and it's awesome, so enjoy it.